Hello YouTube, this is William. Welcome to another kit video. This may not be a typical kit video, but we'll get into it. I'm going to ramble some. I'm just going to share my thoughts on the kits. I have a complete playlist of all the kits that I've uploaded in the past, and I'll try to link that complete playlist at the end of this video. If for some reason I can't, then just go to the homepage here on YouTube of this channel, and you'll see playlists. There's all kinds of playlists, and there's a kit playlist. There's a frequently asked questions playlist. There's playlist on us demonstrating knives. There's playlist on us testing knives. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff. Almost 1,000 videos, just all kinds of information there, and knowledge and wisdom and all that other good stuff. Okay? All right. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. There may be something in there that you might get a nugget of wisdom in there and all that other fluff. All right. But anyway, I'm just going to ramble and kind of share my thoughts on kits and all this other stuff, because for me personally, and this is, let's face it, folks, a lot of these videos on YouTube, 99.9% of them is opinion, okay? And if it applies to you, then take it and apply that to your life. It doesn't apply to you, then just appreciate the person who took the time to share their knowledge and move on. There's no need in getting into arguments and explaining your side of it. That's not what this is all about, okay? This is me sharing what I have found in my personal life, and it may help somebody else out there, okay? That's all this is. It is not to be derogatory to anybody. It's not to tell everybody that they're doing it wrong. It's not any of that, all right? It's just sharing my knowledge, all right? Okay. First of all, let me say Happy New Year. Today is December the 31st, 2024. Tomorrow is 2025, and I hope 2025 is the best year of your life. I wish each and every one of you monumental success in everything that you do. Everything that you tackle is a golden nugget, all right? I really do. I sincerely mean that. I think from the results of the election, a lot of us are relieved. But I hope we don't let our guard down, okay? Because we don't want it to get in the same situation it was before, all right? So we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, let's talk about the fallacies of kits and what I have found in my own personal life. If you go to my playlist on kits, you'll see that I have kits upon kits upon kits. I love kits. I enjoy putting kits together. I enjoy watching YouTube videos on kits. And let me just do a quick shout out. JJ Morris with Fuel the Fires and Survival Dispatch, those YouTube channels, does fantastic videos on kits and equipment and all this other stuff. And I have thoroughly enjoyed his sharing of his knowledge and wisdom and experience in these kits. Jason Salinger, the one that is also part of Survival Dispatch. I mean, these guys have a lot of experience in a lot of different fields. And, you should take their knowledge and apply that to your life where it is applicable, okay? I'm not going to say that there's not one kit that fits all. They don't exist. There's not anything out there. I mean, you have to consider your skill level, your age, your physical hindrance or abilities. I mean, it's like me. I'm almost 60 years old. I got bad knees. I got a bad back. I'm overweight. I need to exercise. I know all of that, okay? I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to hike 20 or 30 miles in 10 hours. That's not going to happen, okay? So you have to consider all of that and apply that to your situation, all right? And only you can do that. You really can't go to somebody and say, build this kit for me, because he don't know me, all right? So you have to really sit back and really critique your own self internally and put it on paper. Just write notes down. The main thing about a kit when you're talking about survival is you want to maintain your core temperature. Now, you don't want it to get too hot. You don't want it to get too cold. So everything that is in that kit should regulate that core temperature, whether it be the clothes on your back, whether it be the food in your bag, whether it be your shelter, whether it be your bedding, whatever that is in your bag, it should regulate your core temperature. In the summertime, it may be dampening a schmog and putting it over your head to lower your temperature. It may be changing clothes into something cooler. It may be putting a hat on your head to keep the sun off. It may be a lot of things. But you have to, everything in that kit has to regulate that core temperature. Food is one of them. There's a lot of times I think we overlook that. Food is a furnace that heats up your core when you're cold so that it digests that food. So that's part of that regulation in your core temperature or core body temperature. All right. So with that in mind, everything in your kit should address that. Your water, your shelter, your clothing, your food, everything should address that. Now, everybody does not live in East Texas, all right, where I live. I have been fortunate in my life. I have traveled many places, some overseas. I've worked in northern states in all seasons. I've been around. I've been around. So I've experienced a lot of different things. And folks, when it was cold, I was cold. When it was hot, I was hot. A lot of people say, well, you should be in Minnesota in January. Well, it's cold, I'm sure. January in East Texas is cold. So you have to dress accordingly. All right. And a lot of times people confuse temperature with real feel. Sometimes in Texas, the temperature may be 96 degrees, but the heat index is 120. It's because of that humidity and everything else. In reverse of that, a lot of times in the South, the temperature may only be 32 degrees and you have a north wind blowing at 20 with a 96% humidity. It makes it feel like it's below zero. So, a lot of times we confuse temperature with what is going to deregulate or hinder that core temperature. And it's a lot of other things combined in that, okay? So, when the guy in the South says it's cold, he's cold. And when the guy in the North says he's cold, he's cold, all right? So, anyway, so with that in mind, I've got a kit bag here, 2 of them, and kind of give you my mindset on this. And I don't want to go through all the contents of it because I've already done all that in other videos. It's just a variation of a different bag, okay? In my situation, I live in East Texas. The temperature range could be 40 degrees in a 24-hour period. We have that dramatic of a temperature change in falls and in spring, okay? For instance, we got an Arctic front coming in next week, and the temperature is supposed to drop 50 degrees, okay? So the kit has to be able to accomplish that. Now, in the car, I have another container that has blankets and candles and a lot of other things. But this video is not to tell you gear or show you gear. It is to get you to thinking about your own situation and how you can apply that to your own kits, okay? Different gear will provide the same thing. You don't have to get the same name brands I got, okay? So, it's not about name brand. It's about, will that item help me in I will say survival, because we overuse the term survival. To me, survival is I'm going to die if I don't change my situation, okay? Many times we're not in a survival situation, we're in a discomfort situation, okay? So we need to separate that in our lives as well. It takes a lot to die from exposure. It really does. You have to make many mistakes to get there. People do. People can make those mistakes, but it's usually not one thing that gets them in that situation. Aliens didn't come down from the sky and steal all of their kit, okay? That's not how people get into problems. They go somewhere where they don't tell anybody where they're at and not tell anybody when they're going to come back. That's the first thing. It's usually a several keys that get you in that life and death survival situation, okay? So be smart. Proper planning, proper, I want to say gear, proper items in your kit to maintain your core temperature in all seasons, okay? So you don't know how long you're going to be there. If some situation, if you slip, break a leg or whatever, at least if you told somebody where you're at, you shouldn't be in a survival situation unless hypothermia or something like that kicks in, but that means you didn't pack the right gear in your kit. So what I'm saying is most times it's because of we didn't do proper planning and there were several steps missed, all right? So anyway, in my situation, I live in East Texas, and like I said, weather can change in a heartbeat. I mean, you know, we watch the Weather Channel just like everybody else, so we kind of know when things are gonna get completely crazy. But instead of taking bags in and out of the vehicles, I try to get a kit that's going to cover most of those items, or at least something in the vehicle, not necessarily in the bag, but at least in a box or something in the vehicle, like extra blankets and, like I say, the candles and things like that, gloves, extra toboggans, buffs, all this other stuff, because I may have mom or dad with me or somebody else or whatever. But you want to kind of plan for those people as well. But in my day-to-day use, I'm usually here in the shop. But when I have to go to town to get anything, it's about a 30 to 40 mile drive one way. That's to get to anywhere that has anything, okay? So to drive or to walk back that 30 or 40 miles, I think, you know, a couple days, 3 days, something like that, depending on when the situation happened of me walking back, okay? So we're looking at maybe 2 to 3 nights. So in this bag, I have 2 to 3 days worth of food, extra clothing, socks, things like that, and to help me get back. And this bag weighs about 20 pounds, 18, 20 pounds, okay? So that's going to help me and whoever's with me get back. I have a hammock in there. I have an underquilt in there. I have a sleeping pad in there, an air mattress. So, you know, if it's warm enough, I would prefer to be off the ground. But, you know, I can sleep on the ground if I needed to. I have a poncho in there. I could wrap up next to a tree, put a candle between my legs, and heat myself up that way, okay, to maintain the core temperature. There's a lot of ways of doing things, okay? So, you know, proper sleep is a very important thing in the survivability thing. But, I mean, if you're talking about 1 or 2 days, then you could lose a few hours of sleep and still get to where you're going. So you got to, I mean, in the military, anybody that's been in the military, you can do a lot on very little sleep, okay? But, you know, the inner drive of a person is what is going to make things happen. So, you know, the individual is going to dictate what they need in their pack is what I'm trying to tell everybody, all right? So, anyway, for this kit, and if it's too heavy, I can discard things along the way. The food's going to be consumed along the way, so it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter. A lot of people say, well, I don't want a heavy pack to carry it. Well, I would start out with a heavy pack, and if it gets too heavy, you discard the things you don't need, okay? If it's a summertime, you can start discarding the winter items. So, you know, don't throw everything away before you even start. At least have it with you so you can make that decision later. All right? Okay, so this is a 2 to 3 day pack. is what this is. It's about 20 pounds, okay? Now this pack over here is a Dyneema. And another thing, let's talk about packs for a second. I love canvas packs, you know, the old world, the old style canvas packs that, you know, just bomb proof. The problem is those things are heavy. The leather packs, I mean, they look fantastic, but they are heavy before you put anything in them. So as the older I get, the more I'm leaning toward the Dyneema and the you know, the Cordura, the lighter fabrics. This pack over here is a Dyneema pack from Pathfinders, Self-Reliance Outfitters. It's very light. And in that pack, that is for my longer trips, because if I go camping, I visit my buddy Blackie Thomas down in Alabama, or if I go to Georgia Bushcraft or anywhere else that's, you know, several hundred miles away from home, then it's going to take me longer than 3 days to get back, right? So I have to have a pack for that. So this pack has other things in there. It has a fishing kit. It has some snare wire. It has a lot of things in there that this kit doesn't have. But it also has a lot of things that this kit has in that one. So there's more items in that, so it takes a bigger pack. I still have the Grail in there. I think that's the best water filtration system that they've come out with yet. Sawyer will work, okay? If you can't afford a Grail, get a Sawyer, okay? Get the best items that you can afford, all right? But at least in that pack, I have a lot of things that I can procure food or have better shelter products. I have a bivy bag in that I don't have in this one. I have a better hammock in that one that I don't have in this one. It's just stuff that is going to, because the trip back is going to take longer. It could take weeks to get back, okay? So I have prepared for that. So that's the long trip bag that stays in the van, the camper van. And this is the short trip bag that stays in my pickup, okay? So you have to think about things like that. Not every situation that you are in your life, the same bag is going to work, is what I'm trying to tell you. You have to think about your situation and what you're doing at that moment. Does your bag meet those requirements? All right. For instance, when I'm going to town, a lot of times I have a pocket kit in my cargo pockets, and I have a video on what's in here. It's basically a trauma kit, which is a SWAT tee, has a little mini survival kit in there. It has a kind of like a life straw in there, one of those Frontier water filter things in there. I can do water. I've got a Mylar shelter in there. I've got, if I couldn't get back to the truck and get this bag and I had to boogie out, this is my boogie kit right here. All right, I can live on this. All right, if I can't get back to this. All right, so that is another thing that you have to consider. Do I need that? In a lot of areas, you know, self-protection is a very important thing. There's times that you can't carry the pew-pew, okay? So you have to consider things like that. Every person's situation is different, is what I'm trying to get across to everybody. So you have to seriously sit down and consider your own personal situation, your health, if you got kids, if you got a wife, all of these things you have to sit down and seriously consider what I need in that kit. Not just take what somebody else's kit has and try to apply it to your life, because it may not work, all right? Okay. I also have this kit. I think the one that's in the video is a black one, but it's the same kit as this. Just has some things in there that you may need. Now, another thing that I've heard in watching all of these videos on the EDCs and what I carry every day, you know, someone said if I don't use it in the first 2 months, I throw it out of my kit and all this other stuff. Well, if you EDC and you don't use it in the first 6 months, do you quit carrying it? So I can't go by that mentality. A lot of these kits are what ifs, and you hope you never need it. Just like this this tourniquet right here. See this tourniquet, this cat tourniquet? You carry it what if, but you pray and hope you never need it, okay? So if you don't use it in 2 months, you don't throw it away. So that I don't agree with that concept. I think your kit should provide for a worst case scenario, okay? And you hope for the best. So, you know, I want to just kind of discard that comment as well. And another one I hear a lot, you know, Morris Kahansky made the comment that the more you know, the less you carry. And the people take what he said out of context a whole lot. He's talking about a wilderness situation. He's talking about situations that we are not necessarily in. You know, unless you live in the wilds of Idaho or a trapper in northern Canada, you know, the wilderness setting is really not going to be our problem, okay? We may have to build a fire along the side of the road somewhere. So, you know, having fire skills is certainly beneficial. But I think the better term for that, the more you know, the better gear you carry, okay? I think that's a better saying. You know, I don't think that anybody that knows has knowledge is going to carry less. I think the more Ray Mears one time said, the more he knows, the less he knows. And that's true, because the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know. Okay. So, I never liked that term, the more you know, the less you carry, because I think that's a very dangerous thought. People go out and they try to survive on a big lighter and a knife, and it's just begging for trouble. Okay, it really is. And JJ and Jason are really adamant about how much calories it consumes to build a shelter. You know, just little small things like that. Can you do it with the knowledge and the skill? Not just knowledge, but and the skill. You could do that. But it may take you 3 or 4 hours to do that, and the calories that you burn doing that. Because if you ever are in a survival situation, it is a calories game. You know, you're fighting your calorie intake versus your expense of calories. Okay, so you got to keep that balance. So don't be out there trying to beat a knife through a 4-inch log to get some kindling. I mean, that's just that to me is just ludicrous. And another thing, people say, well, Williams is anti-batoning. No, I'm not. I'm anti-stooping. All right. So, you know, just take into consideration and use some common sense with that. Use small stuff. Tap the knife through there, because if that's the only knife you have, 9 times out of 10, Murphy's going to raise his head during a survival or a crisis situation. And if that blade breaks, then you're in trouble. You are in serious trouble. So use some common sense with this. Batoning means a baton, not a club. It's not called clubbing. It's called batoning, okay? Let's just use some common sense with this. All right, so, you know, anyway, get off of my soapbox. But this little kit right here, I mean, it weighs practically nothing. You can put it in your back pocket of jeans or whatever. But in this little kit, you have a lot of things. You have a Wazoo Water Kit. Wazoo is a great company. Just do a Google search for Wazoo. W-A-Z-O-O, I believe. I mean, most times just search for so much that when you start typing it in, it'll just pop right up. But they have some fantastic little miniature kits that, I mean, I carry one of their belts, their cash belts, and you can keep all this stuff in a belt. I mean, you know, it's just simple stuff like that is going to help you get over that top, okay? Other than a positive mental attitude, little kit items does help, okay? So I was carrying this in the shop for a long time. I used it here and there. But then I found this little deal right here. This is called the Hitch Timber, and I forget what video I saw. I think it might have been Zach for the Wild or might have been one of those guys. But this is on Amazon, and I've got one of my RSTs in here to hone up my knife. I've got one of those little wrench pliers, Nippics. Is that how you pronounce it, I think? I'm sure it's probably pronounced everything. And inside of it, I've just got a pair of nail clippers, a little manager's Swiss Army knife that has a pen on it, an ink pen, a pair of scissors, and a little bit of a blade, and a little notepad in there, right there, that I keep in there. And also add some chapstick at the top, because, you know, got to have that stuff. You're not a heathen. You got to take care of your lips, folks. All right. Okay, and then on the back, instead of having a notepad, because I got the little one inside, is I have one of these little Helicon Tex survival pocket pouches that you can get on Amazon. And it's just a boo-boo kit. It has some antiseptic wipes, Band-Aids, you know, a hand sanitizer, just things like that, you know, you maybe work around a shop and you get a little nick and just need to take care of it right quick. You don't need to run to the first aid kit. All right, you got one in your pocket. So, you know, it's just little things like that. Just everything's evolving. When one of your kits is not adequate, or if you see something else that you say, well, you know, that could certainly help out my kit. And the more you keep adding to it, the bigger your kit's going to get. But you know, you're always considering your situation, and your situation changes. It's not always the same. I don't do the same thing every day, and I'm sure you don't either. Sometimes we think we're in a rut, that we're headed to work, coming home, headed to work, coming home. But, you know, if you really sit down and think about it, your situation is not the same every day. Weather changes, traffic patterns change, geopolitical changes, just all kinds of things changes almost here lately. It seems like on a daily basis, but you know, you have to continue considering all of these items when you're talking about kit. You can't just say, okay, I've formed my kit in 2023 in the spring and it's good enough for the rest of my life. No. You have to that kit has to continually evolve because your situation changes. Okay, so, you know, it's just like this year, it appears that we're going to have the coldest winter we've had in a decade. And so, you know, my kit has to reflect that. So I have to pull all my items out of my kit, lay it out on the table, really think about this situation, know what I have in the truck. I have wool blankets in the truck, like I said, candles, tool kits, other things in the truck. But in the bag, if I have to leave that truck, I may have to drape the blanket over the top, tie it down, whatever on my pack. But at least I've got most items in my pack that is going to get me through the most severe weather that could hit my area. Okay, so anyway, just food for thought. You know, this is my thoughts. This is my experience. This is, I won't say advice. It's just tips and tricks for you to consider. Okay, just think about that and see if it applies to your situation. You know, make sure you have medication on hand. Make sure that you have whatever your needs are. You need to make sure that you have an adequate supply. And what is adequate? As much as you can get. Who knows? I mean, you know, there is so many what ifs out there. You cannot bet on any one of them happening, and maybe more than one will happen. Okay? I mean, you know, we're getting solar flares now. We had a Class X solar flare last night. If it was been directed properly and hit the right area, we could have had a complete meltdown of our electrical system. I mean, you know, there is so many things that could happen that, you know, it's kind of hard to pinpoint which one you need to prepare for. Just prepare for the worst. Prepare for 6 months or a year of doing without power, doing without food, doing without water, and just do the best you can, folks. Anything that you can do is better than nothing, okay? It is better to have a limited supply of gear than it is to have no gear whatsoever, okay? At least with a limited supply of gear, it'll give you time to think and make plans. If you don't have any gear, you're in panic mode immediately, so you've already lost, all right? Okay, I hope all of this helps you guys. I told you it was going to be a ramble. I mean, I've been on about 30 minutes, and I love kit videos. I enjoy watching them, but I've come to the realization after building kit after kit after kit, carrying it for a while and thinking, well, I missed this, and you never, in my case, I never have a kit that I am just completely 100% satisfied with. But, that's what makes this fun, all right? There's always something new around the corner. And, sometimes it's a good item and sometimes it's not. So you have to really look at this and look at several opinions on things before you pull the trigger and purchase that item. Anyway, it's not about the name brand. It's about what that item does and whether it's going to help you in your situation. All right. Okay. I hope this is beneficial, like I said. And until the next one, you guys get in the backyard, whittle on a stick. Be sure to take a child with you, get the opportunity. And don't forget those plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives. We'll catch you again very soon.